Welcome to the podcast, Medicine Untold, and come with me on a journey to the unexplored side of medicine, where we speak with rebel doctors, radical herbalists, unorthodox healers, and patients who have healed themselves. Explore the intersection between science and spirituality, and discover the power within you. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Berkland, licensed naturopathic doctor, botanical alchemist, and practicing physician. Welcome, everyone. Today we have a guest. We have Dr. Alex Feng. So thank you very much, Dr. Feng, for joining us. And I'll go ahead and read a little bit about your background. Dr. Alex Feng is a Taoist priest, medical Qigong grandmaster, traditional Chinese medicine physician, acupuncturist, herbalist, and feng shui master. He was born in China, where he was immersed in the three pillars of Taoism: physical strength and well-being, healing, and spiritual development. Dr. Feng was trained by his father, Dr. Wei-Ren Feng, a well-known scholar and spiritual leader who descended from a long lineage of Taoist philosophers, scholars, and healers. And he was ordained in Zi Taoism in the 1970s. After immigrating to the United States, Dr. Feng continued his studies in Taoism and martial arts, focusing on both his physical and spiritual development. Dr. Feng studied at UC Berkeley and the New College of San Francisco. Then he graduated with his doctorate in Oriental Medicine and PhD from Samra University in Los Angeles. And he became one of the first practitioners to be licensed when acupuncture was legalized in California in 1976. Now, today, he is the founder of the Clinic for Traditional Chinese Medicine in Berkeley, California. Dr. Feng and his wife also founded the Zi Dao Guan Taoist Center in Oakland, California, which is the first major center devoted to Taoist arts in the Bay Area. So welcome today. And the first question I have for you kind of goes into how this journey began for you. So it seems as though this journey began for you at a young age when you were 8. And so can you tell us more about the experience you had at this age that kind of helped define your life path?
I love that question. So age 7, 8, I was afflicted with severe asthma. I was missing school 3 months to 6 months at a time. So one day I picked up a book on Qigong, read the book, and actually realized how to do Qigong. Cured myself of asthma at age 8. So I said, if I can do it at age 8, anybody can do this. So that's a life-changing part of my life, is that if you have intuition and you have a willingness to dive into knowledge of yourself, you can make changes. Second important piece of my life is that I was climbing a mountain in Taiwan, where I grew up, and I was sitting there looking at the sky, looking at the earth, thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Why am I here on this thing between heaven and earth? Who am I? What am I? What am I doing? And at the same moment, I looked across the mountain. There's a Buddhist temple, and there was chanting going on. There was smoke coming out of the temple, and immediately realized that moment, that's why I'm here. So those are the two components of my life that mold me into, kind of who I am. My parents were, my mother's German, my father's Chinese. So there's a sort of cross-cultural environment where I grew up. We spoke many languages, and my father was definitely a Taoist. My mother was Christian. She took me to Protestant church, a Catholic church, to Taoist temple. So this is what spirituality may look like. What is it that you want? So it puts me on the path of discovering what is spirituality, what is my spirituality. And my father said something that's really unique that influenced my life. He says, the God in your heart is your God. So that's the beginning story of my life. And I realized at a very young age, my mother was a healer. My father was a healer of a different sort. My mother was a physical healer. My father was a spiritual healer. So I grew up with that environment around me. and both of them were professors in university. So I learned how to teach. I learned how to learn. I was a terrible student because when they try to cram things into you, it just didn't make sense. You have to allow feelings and thinking to come out from the individual. You have to draw it from the individual, and we become who we are through that, not through implant. So briefly, that's my history.
Yeah, what an interesting childhood too. You had all these different influences, but not having everything pushed on you, you really found your path, your own way, and you knew it
It is
in your
so much.
heart.
It is because so much is pushed on me. I had to survive that to find my path. But pressure is not a bad thing. It's just temporary. You have to realize it is what we call gates that you got to go through. And there are many gates we have to go through: emotional gates, hereditary gates, physical gates, intellectual gates, so on and so forth. We have to go through these gates and realize, who am I in the midst of all of that? Yeah.
Very
So,
true.
yeah.
So the next question I have is kind of it's hard to put in words, and Taoism has a really special place in my heart too. But I know this is going to be a difficult question. Can you tell our audience kind of the philosophy of Taoism and really what it is for people that have never really heard of it before or might just know a little bit about it?
Okay. Two aspects. Number one, when Confucius went to Laozi, who was like the sort of the head of Taoist knowledge and lineage, he says, "What's Taoism?" And Laozi said, Confucius asked again, "So what is Taoism?" Laozi once again replied in silence. So it is, the first chapter of Taoism is Dao De Jing. Dao De Jing says that which can be spoken is not definitively what is. So words are not explain the way you like what you do, your relationship with your husband, your feeling for him passing, doing what you're doing now. None of that can be expressed. It would take too long to blah, 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 blah. So it is a feeling, it is a present that you recognize what Taoism is. Second aspect, the character Tao, the radical Tao in Chinese is written the self that moves in harmony or transcendence of yin and yang. Operative verb is the self. The self, we have a dragon tail that runs next to the self, meaning movement. Movement and the dragon also represent transformation. The self that moves in transformation comes to a place of understanding two components. If you are in harmony, you are in Tao. Or you are able to transcend even harmony. You become understanding of yin and yang is or is not. So the self that moves in harmony or transcendence of differences lives in the space of Tao.
Very well said for something that's hard to say. So moving on to the next question, can you explain what the three pillars of Taoism are too?
Say what?
The three pillars.
Well, 3 pillars, 8 pillars, 5 pillars, 2 pillars. Those are just references. You can choose any pillars you like. They become your 3 pillars. So at some point, I must have said something about spirit, body, well-being, and healing. All those are pillars. So Buddhists have pillars, Christians have pillars, Taoists have pillars. Those are academics. You can choose anything you like for your essence. We say there are 3 treasures. The 3 treasures are your essence, your energy, and your spirit. So cultivate those, and you have your three pillars, or you have avenues in your life that you can cultivate. You can cultivate your energy, health. You can cultivate your essence, essence, essence. What is your essence? So that takes a little while just to, well, what is my essence anyway? And then your spirit. And the spirit can, some people say the mind, some people say it's beyond the mind. The mind can keep you like a monkey, very busy. Beyond the mind, you have to discover who you are, where you are, what you are, whatever this consciousness is all about. Wuji, Taoism, is the foundation of nothingness. The great, great, great void, great nothingness. Some people call it the black hole. You go in and disappear or whatever, transform into something else. And from Wuji, you have a consciousness, you have awareness. I am in nothing. I am nothing. Everything is nothing. That awareness separates you from nothing. You now have yin and yang. Differences. You and me, space, time, colors, age, sex, whatever. Differences. And differences is relative. If you call this yang, then this is yin. If you call this yang, then this is yin. It's relative. It's a way of identifying this and that. We say, go back to the origin of nothing. Then you recognize your true self.
Yeah, and that's really the beauty of Taoism too, is that space.
Yeah. And it's people always talk about mindfulness. Oftentimes we teach mindlessness. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you don't let your mind and your thoughts govern who you are. You need to go beyond that.
Exactly. Exactly. So then the next question I have for you is that you stated you were mentored by leading Chinese philosophers, martial art teachers, Chinese medicine practitioners, and Taoists, sometimes listening to 7 hours a day from the great Grandmaster Wei Ren Feng. So can you tell us first to our audience, what is lineage and why is that important? Because I think it'll be probably like the first introduction they might hear to that term. And then secondly, the philosophy behind the lineage that you were trained in.
Couple of stories. I have a Tai Chi teacher by the name of Feng Kun. He's a very high ranking, one of the highest ranking in China, same as Jet Li's teacher. He says to me, I said one day, I want to be your student. I want to be your disciple. I want to learn from you. He said, I take no student. I've been studying with you for 20 years. I take no students, but if you treat me like a teacher, then I'm your teacher. So lineage is something that if you're lucky, you'll have marvelous, marvelous influences. I'm very, very lucky. I have, for whatever reason, I've been exposed to like world-class teachers in judo, in tai chi, in martial art, in jiu-jitsu, in medicine, in yoga. I'm like a lucky guy, you know. So if you have good influences, we say, when you drink the water, remember the source. You give gratitude to the source that has nurtured you. That's what a lineage is. Lineage is also something, it's time spent with knowledge, with struggle to figure out, to dialogue, to debate, to question, to understand, to realize, to live in your own realization from the teaching. Lineage is about teaching. It's not about me, you, him, her. Not about that. It's about the principle of teaching. And the principle of teaching comes from you, comes from me, comes from everyone. So everyone is a teacher. but you choose one that really like let you look at the horizon and beyond. If someone can do that for you, take them as your lineage. So that's it. You know, for some culture, lineage is really important, but it's not about pedigree. You know, my dog is a shepherd. You know, it's not like that. You know, it's like knowledge. It's like essence, what you have received. Uh, I was in a Siddha yoga retreat, and there's a teacher by the name of Guru Mai Chivalasananda. And she's a yoga teacher. And we were doing meditation. And I fell into this space of Wuji. And I thought to myself, that second, wait a minute, here's an Indian woman exemplifying what I grew up with in Taoism. Where is this purely Taoist? Is it Indian? Is it Christian? It's none of it. It's who you are and what you experience. So when you experience that you are no different than all of this. You are, you know, the Indian have a saying, thou art that. That's Taoism. You are that. That's Taoism. I said, enough, no more.
No, that's excellent. I think it's a great way to explain lineage and the philosophy behind it too. And I know Taoism can be approached from many different ways to find that path too.
And there are many people who claim, my father's always said, beware of what hat you're wearing and who gave you the hat. Oh, I graduated from blah, blah, blah. I have a cum laude, blah, 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 blah. I am blah, 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 blah. Waste of time. Waste of time. If you have the knowledge, share it. That's it. It's as simple as that. And don't think that you're always a teacher. You have something to share, you vibrate it. I think Buddha just said under the tree. Just vibrate good thoughts, goodwill, and good teaching under the tree. So.
Yeah, definitely. Can you tell us to go a little bit deeper in the 1960s, you and your family, you immigrated to America, where your father or where Dr. Wei Ren Feng
By the way,
organized
Wei Ren. And
Wei
also,
Ren.
Feng is my name's actually Feng. But when I came
Okay.
to this, so F-E-N-G. So F-E-N-G these days in China is Feng. But my name could be spelled F-O-N-G, F-U-N-G, F-E-N-G, Ping Fang Fong. You know, but my name is in Chinese is Feng. My father's name is Feng. Anyway.
I know I put the Americanized version on that a little bit too.
Oh, somebody tells you that.
So your father organized lots of different training for you, and you had such a unique upbringing. And he also helped you study the physical aspect of things beyond the spiritual, like in qigong, jujitsu, and yoga. Can you tell us more?
Teach me jujitsu, didn't teach me yoga. I had other teachers for that.
Right, that's it. He arranged different teachers and brought in.
Influenced me.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience and how it influenced you?
I'll give you a story of my study in traditional Chinese medicine. I was at UC Berkeley studying psychology, not happy. Didn't like it back in the 60s, 68, 69. I didn't like the system they were approaching with psychology. So I said to my father, you know, I want to study blah, 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 something traditional, something with healing, something that has history, something that has value. He said, well, come with me. Let me introduce you to my friend, Dr. Yang Hao, who is a very well-known traditional Chinese medicine doctor. He was giving a class. And in the class, there was an old man sitting there reading a next textbook called Neijing, Internal Classic Yellow Emperor. And it's a very sophisticated language, very sophisticated thought. This goes back like 3,000 years, approximately 3,000 years. So my father said, why don't you go over and ask the man to translate for you? So I went over there, and the man was translating this internal classic to me. And I realized that second that I knew more than he did. And I was in my 20s. So I said, maybe this is something that's innate within me. All these years of listening to my father talking about philosophy, maybe all of that stuff, and my mother healing people, maybe all of that stuff is meaningful for me. So I dove into traditional Chinese medicine. And at that time, it was actually still illegal in California. But something says, the universe opens for you. These people are in front of you, and take advantage of it. You have no choice. So a lot of things with Taoism is you have no choice. You're very sure you have no choice. Then you know who you are. So I studied, and that time was tumultuous, people getting arrested for practicing illegal traditional Chinese medicine. My colleagues were getting arrested. So I went to my teacher. I said, this is happening. He looked at me and says, do you want to do this? Yes, do it. And he walked away from me. So it's about your calling, whether what you're doing, what Charlene is doing, what we're doing. The universe opens up the door. So it was illegal. I dove into it. It became legal. I became one of the first in California that got my license. And I was bilingual, so I was able to translate for teachers at that time coming from China, teaching Chinese medicine. I was able to translate, and I had first-hand knowledge of all heads of department of all kinds. And I also went to Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong, you probably know, is a conglomeration of everything. Most street cleaners can speak 7 languages. So I was able to see modern traditional Chinese medicine, modern medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, electrostimulation, East-West combined medicine. So I saw the world of traditional Chinese medicine in Hong Kong. I also studied in Japan or Korea. Wherever there's something interesting, I want to take a look. Can I benefit from this? Can people that I know benefit from this? When my students ask me, Dr. Feng, I want to be like you, be a healer. I say, there's 2 questions you need to answer. Number 1, are you comfortable around people who don't feel well? If you're not comfortable, don't do it. It's not for you. Do something else, just as well. Number 2, do people get well without you doing anything? And that is the crux of healing. It's not about what you do. It's not about what you do. It's who you are, what you present, your vibration, and all that's something what you do. So I remember my yoga teacher said once, it's not what you do, it's the Shakti. It's the Shakti. It's the energy that has its own life and will carry you. You will heal who you need to heal. If you're not able to, don't take blame. If you're able to, don't take the fame. Just do what you do. Be normal, because Chinese is 正常, be normal, be casual, be ordinary. That answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's exactly what I believe about medicine too, and the true essence of it. So we definitely have some synergy in our beliefs and the real meaning of medicine. It took me a while to find that too, kind of in my studies and my practice, and what does medicine mean? Where is the essence of it? And you said that perfectly.
Recently, the last 15 years, I've been working with Dr. Amy Mateki. Dr. Mateki is a Chinese doctor that came from China. She's a Western doctor from China. She came to this country, made herself a Western doctor again, and then she also went to acupuncture school, became a TCM practitioner. And she has this vision of integrative medicine. So the last 15 years, we've been working in the hospital, looking at Western medicine, looking at traditional Chinese medicine. How can we merge them for the benefit of the patient? So it's a great exploration, great frontier, because it doesn't happen everywhere. But no medicine is perfect. There will be no sick people. So take medicine as what it is, the best of what it is for what you need it for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I have another tough question, which is hard to explain again. And can you tell us, I know that you've been teaching it as well. Can you talk about Taoist meditation and why it would be important for our listeners to practice this? And I know it's hard to say, well, having expectations of the meditation or benefits in itself is hard to explain when we're discussing the essence of meditation. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
You want to meditate, you meditate. You don't want to meditate, don't meditate. Like what? You know, meditation is not what you do. Meditation is a state of being. You're meditating right now. I'm meditating right now. Not like I have to sit here for 5 hours or 3 hours and fast on vegan food or vegetarian food or no food at all. It's not about any of that. Sitting in a certain posture, cross-legged, leg over your head. No, it's about a state of being. What is a state of being? The Taoists say, recognize the self between the breath, the self that resides within you, not troubled, bothered, afflicted with the Buddhists call it the red dust. So pretty, this world, so pretty. Don't be involved with that. Meditation in Chinese is called Jing Zuo. Jing means still, quiet, without struggle. Zuo means sit or in the seat of. In the seat of meditation.
And how do you teach, how do you go about teaching the meditation in your classes?
Just it,
Is
right?
Well said, well said.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because not what you do is really a state of being. And there are many ways to get into the state of being. You can sing. Da, 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 da. Gets you into a chanting zone. You can go into meditation that way. You can close your eyes and just sit quietly. Sitting in the seat of silence, no struggle, no nothing. Just be calm, relaxed, kind to yourself. Meditation. You can chant. You can count beads. You can count numbers. You can count thoughts. You can go dive into thoughts, dissolve thoughts. There are many ways to get into this space. A basketball player, when it makes a three-pointer from way back there, they're in the zone. They're not thinking about people yelling at them, whether the shoes are untied, what uniform they wear. It's just one thought. Whoom. I have a goal. I have a purpose. Whoom. Put a ball in the basket. That's my purpose right now. And that's meditation. So if you're looking for achievement, you're looking for benefit, you're in the wrong place. Those things come with it. If you have a healthy body, so many good things come with it. You have a clarity of mind, clarity of consciousness or conscience. You're free. So many things come to that. Wonderful people come to your life. Wonderful knowledge comes to you. You don't have to like, oh, what can I get? What can I get? I want to be wealthy. I want to be famous. I want to be pretty. I want to be smart. Too much work. Let it come to you. Learn to absorb. Learn to take. Who am I? Can I absorb this? I play Congo drum, African Cuban Congo drum, 7 years. After 7 years, my teacher looked at me and says, "You're okay. You're okay. I'm okay." That's it. I'm not a superstar. I can't play in the band. I can't jam with, Santana. No, I'm not at that level, but I'm okay. So don't try to grab things that makes you feel you have a bigger hat or shiny or something. The king with no robe, thinking he had a beautiful robe. Don't let that fool you. Don't let Maya fool you. Know yourself. Meditate on yourself for yourself. Everything else will come. You're giving, you're taking, you're sharing. All that will be there. Don't work at it. Anyway, that's Taoism.
Yeah, you said it absolutely perfectly there too. It's not doing and the emptiness and that space where there's the real power.
I remember once I was in a hospital, and my wife and I walked into the elevator, and one look, we could tell the other person in the elevator was in super distress, just sad, face down. Oh, my wife, without saying anything, went over and just gave her a hug. That was it. A simple act of kindness, recognizing and doing something about it. And she says to me, she says, kindness is very inexpensive. Taoism. Be kind.
100%.
Simple things.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for explaining all those things too. I always have a problem trying to explain those concepts to people, and I think you did a perfect job of
You had the
explaining the unexplained.
experience. Now that you got it, you use your own experience to express. Stories. I love stories because stories, you have to think about it. It's not something just I said to you and you got it. You have to what does that mean? And that process enlightens you, enriches you.
Yeah, it really does. The next question I have for you is like moving on a little bit from Taoism is to discuss the philosophy behind traditional Chinese medicine, and then how that differences or what's a different idea behind that than conventional medicine. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
You have both conventional medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine is Western medicine is conventional. Western medicine has about 200 years, maybe 300 years. Traditional Chinese medicine, conventional medicine has probably 5,000 years. So, another story. I went with my father to Hong Kong. I went to this outdoor market, and there was a guy there with his carpet and false teeth laying on the carpet. I said, what's he doing here? What's this guy doing? He's a dentist. He makes false teeth for people. Wait a minute. Don't you need light, chairs, equipment, oxygen? You're making false teeth on outdoor on the carpet for people. My father smiled. He says, if it didn't work, do you think people let him be there? So medicine is something that works to save people. Whatever works, whether it's African, Eastern, Latin American, European, we as human beings learn to heal ourselves and others. That's a foundation of healing. There is no difference in the foundation. It's getting well. Different perspective. Some look at microscopic cells, diseases on a cellular level. And some people look at your health. How do you present your health? Your color, your pulse, your tongue. What do you eat? So different ways of looking at the same being gives you different approaches for healing. TCM comes from observation and empirical experience. If I poke myself right here in my arm, my fever goes away. Maybe this thing here that I touch or poke or pressure or needle makes a difference in my whole body in fever. Well, this goes on for like 2,000 years. Everybody collects this information. Next thing you know, there's a system. During this point, will release your constipation, diarrhea, and fever. Well, maybe there's something to that. Can you find the acupuncture point? With what machine? With what instrument? Niet. Can you find your mind? With what instrument? What machine? No. It exists on another plane. It's another way of looking at the body from an energetic perspective versus a cellular perspective. All good, just different. Blood test allows you to tell whether you're anemic or not. Looking at the tongue, your eyes, your pulse, your lips, underneath the eye, we can tell are you anemic or not. Same thing. Pulses, do you have high blood pressure? Pulses reflect that if you study pulses. So Tibetan medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, use a different assessment technique versus allopathic medicine. Just different. All good.
Right.
Different.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like Chinese medicine, it ties it back to the person more, and allopathic, which is a better way than saying conventional, is more looking away from the person, looking at tests, looking at diagnostics rather than looking inward to see all these things and looking at that knowledge. So that's where, yeah, I really feel that Chinese medicine has some real power. I remember I took just a couple Chinese medicine courses when I was in med school, and one of my professors said it could take 10 years just to learn how to really read the pulse and to understand that level and to really read the body. And so I think it's really impressive.
Well, yes and no is the answer to that because we all have gifts. For example, you articulate very well. Some people can see very well. Some people can smell very well. Some people can touch very well. Pulse diagnosis is a gift. Some people are Mozart. Some people are like AC/DC. Different aspect of being able to assess. So yes, pulse diagnosis in itself is a unique technique that takes time and sick people to assess. Oh, this sick person has this kind of pulse. I remember there was a pulse. I had a patient that had pericarditis. I've never had a patient with pericarditis. I touched her pulse pericarditis. Oh my God. It was like rain on a tin roof. For the first time, I recognized what that means for the person's heart from the pulse. So you have to have the experience. So you're right. Traditional Chinese medicine has a more holistic approach for the individual. And there's different ways to read aura, read the tongue, read the pulse, listen to the voice. I remember once with Dr. Untold, I was apprenticing with him. And we're apprenticed with him, you sit next to the doctor. People come in, they take the pulse, he writes a prescription, go, $5. At that time, it was $5. That was cheap. So literally took a few minutes. Person comes in, looks at them, takes a pulse, prescription, go, fill it. Person comes in, didn't ask any question, didn't look at them, didn't take the pulse, write a prescription here, $5. I said, teacher. You never looked at them, you never took the pulse, you never asked any history question. You didn't even ask what his primary problem and issues are. He says, you fool. Didn't you hear him cough next door? Ah, ding, horizon open. A cough, a mother can tell a cough from a child how serious the problem is. Why? You tune in to the whole being and the manifestation of illness or health. So it opened my eyes, my ears up, just to listen. So in our class, we have a way of checking your chi by a yell to a gong. The gong reverberates and sings back to you. You have chi. So it's a different way of looking at energy, testing energy, assessing where the imbalance may be between yin and yang. Western medicine is just as good. You gotta have blood tests, you gotta have MRI. If somebody falls down, you need to see whether it's a bleed or whether it's a clot. You need to know these things. I have great medicine with your clot. Boom, 30 minutes, you're saved. Otherwise, you're paralyzed. Great stuff. You know, and some immunity stuff. Great stuff that saved people, thousands of people, millions of people, generations of people. Good stuff. So I have a good friend who is head of China, very famous Mao Zedong hospital. He says he was trained in Japan. He's the head of traditional Chinese medicine, but also Western trained. He says, don't fight. In the beginning, I was fighting with Western medicine. Oh, you're no good. You're no good. You're way better. And now, why? No need to fight. Find the best in both worlds and use it for the benefit of the individual. And it takes a brilliant mind, togetherness to make that happen. No, I'm better than you. You're worse than me. Those kinds of ideas don't get you anywhere. What is best from my experience? What is best in your experience? Can we combine the two? In what way can we? In a way we shouldn't. So, for example, with herbal medicine, if somebody is blood deficient or losing blood, you have to be careful not to give them herbs that makes them lose more blood, that moves the blood much quicker. So you have to know, is this person taking Western medicine to thin the blood? Can you then apply traditional Chinese medicine to work with that particular issue? But the blood was going to be thin. How do you then tonify the blood? Good question. How do we work together? Chemotherapy. Should you do herbal medicine with chemotherapy? Some people say, no, you affect the chemotherapy. Some people say, no, you need to prepare yourself for the chemotherapy. Some people say you need to do it concurrently with chemotherapy. Some people say you need to do it after chemotherapy. Hey, it all exists. People choose different methods depending on the individual need and philosophy.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. I always say stay in the middle of the circle, like see the benefits of everything and the excess of anything you become unbalanced in that. Too many antibiotics for too many ailments or different things like that. There's that issue, but there's benefits to all and all is needed. And it's finding that balance and treating the individual. So you said it very well there.
Treating you, treating me. What do I need? What do you need as an individual?
Mm-hmm.
Basket of people.
Exactly. And okay, so I have one last question. And we've discussed this a little bit, but really, how do you combine, how do you practice? How do you combine your spiritual knowledge and integrate that into your clinical practice when you see patients?
No different than what you're doing right now. You are who you are. There's no difference in spirit world and this world, medical world, martial art world. There's no different. Everything for me is a spiritual practice. I'm learning how to do salsa dancing, but I do a Tai Chi style because it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So do who you are, the amalgamation of everything you learn, and true to your nature. Be true to yourself. No matter what other people say, no what other people do, be true to yourself and move from there. Everything will, it's not what you do, everything will come. Everything will come. Everything will manifest itself. If they're going to get well, they're not going to get well. They love you, they don't like you, they hate you. None of it is important. Be who you are from your heart. combined with your intellect, with your mind.
Well said. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you just on if somebody's more interested in studying Taoism or finding out more about this, how do they find you or what are you offering for our audience if they can get more information or find your classes if you're doing Zoom classes right now or different resources?
They should definitely listen to you. You will tell them all that they need to know. What do they call it? Media, blah, blah, blah. So I have Zoom classes, I have in-house classes. But one of the things that I learned with my teacher is that just think of your teacher. Just think of what you want to learn. It'll come to you. There are many styles of Taoism, many styles, just like many styles of music or dancing, poetry. You need to find what comes to you and what fits you, what works for you. You can certainly Google me and find out what I offer. But I'm just one guy in this universe. You may want to find somebody close to you. You might want to look at my past presentation of Zoom of Taoist talk. We did it for years, and my wife Charlene recorded it so you can actually capture that and listen to it. It's very nice stuff. It's a combination of many kinds of thinking that's been churned and processed and delivered. So you can do that. You can look at the Zoom on Tuesday. We might do in-house in the hospital, sponsored by Summit Hospital, the Terry campus in Berkeley. So in-house for those who live around here. And we're going to do a hybrid. We're going to do Zoom and Qigong in-house with that. I teach a Qigong class on Saturday. I teach a Tai Chi class. I teach a Judo class. All that should be the website. You guys can look at it. If you're in this neighborhood, where are you anyway, Michelle?
I'm based in Washington State, so I'm on the West Coast.
You to come to see me, it takes a little bit of effort. So this is the best way. Zoom is a good way. Look at some of my past stuff. I think I have some published thing on something. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, and you had some great meditation videos too that I found on your website. So that was a great sequence, and I'll be sure to list that as well.
I also have a gong thing, a meditation gong. I love the gong. The singing gong is like a nice instrument to take you places. You can travel with it. It takes you. And if you played it with yourself, you have to resonate with the gong. And the gong will tell you, I like you. No, I don't like you. No, I don't like this part of you. Very clearly as you play the gong, everything that who you are manifests in the gong that speaks back to you. But that's another way of meditating. Find some teachers, read some books. There are 3 ways to learn. Number 1, teacher. Number 2, scriptures, meaning what you hear, what you see, what you learn, written, so on and so forth. Number 3, most important part, intuitive, the Tao. You know because you know. Nobody's taught you, you just know. So those are the 3 ways. Find a teacher, many teachers, find some things to look at, to read, to listen to, and number 3, tune into yourself and absorb the knowledge that comes to you. 3 ways of learning.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on today and explaining the unexplained also. And I think this is a great seed to plant really for our audience to get that knowledge.
Thank you for opening this mindset for people and allowing them to explore a different world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.